It was just a normal, I wouldn't say normal, but a normal day in the 911 center. We were taking calls, and then your father called, and it was just a single call. Obviously, you don't live in a closed-in area, you live in a pretty rural area, so it's not like everybody's calling at once. It was that one phone call. It was short, sweet, to the point. My neighbor's house is on fire. Okay, do you know if there's anybody entrapped? I don't know. I don't think anybody's home. I think he said he didn't see a car in the driveway. I forget the exact wording. And then I hung up with him, and then I think about 5 to 10 seconds later, after I hung up with him, my other dispatcher, Megan, took a phone call from Tessa saying, I'm trapped in the fire. She gave the address, and then we realized, oh, that's the person I just hung up with, so I quick redialed back, because my thought at that point was, there's nobody else around. He sees what I don't see on the outside and what they can't see, and he's able to tell us what's going on. And then my thought process started to change at that point, as there's no way for them to get out because they had one door. At that point, I was like, okay, we need some sort of ladder.
I thought something was happening to my dad, right? Because I don't hear my dad scream my name for no good reason. Yeah. And I came outside and he was holding the ladder and he was hyperventilating, and he was on the phone and said, I'm on the phone with 911, the neighbor's house is on fire. And from there, I kind of grabbed the ladder and started to run across the street. The neighbors were screaming, and I ran down to their lower driveway where I could put the ladder up. And knowing the house, having been in the house, I knew that the only exit was on fire. They didn't have a deck or anything off the back of the house. And I saw that their big front glass window was open. Thankfully, that window was open, and I was able to put the ladder up to it and get in without much resistance. I was standing there on the ladder, and it was honestly a lot of smoke and a lot of flames coming out of that house. Punched in the screen window and looked inside, and it was smoke pretty much all the way to the floor. And I thought to myself, wow, like, I'm really about to go in there. And turned around to whoever was there outside the house, and I said, you're sure they're in there, right? Because I'm about to climb into this burning house.
Yeah, that's what I was telling your dad most of the time too. I said, assure him they are in there. We have them on the phone still. So that was another thing, because I know your dad was a little hesitant, as any father would be, to watch his son go into a burning house.
Yeah, I can't imagine it from my dad's point of view, but that was the last thing on my mind. At that point, it was punched the screen in and crawled into the house. Thankfully, I was wearing a ski hoodie, and I was able to pull the shirt up over my face and kind of pull it tight and crawled along the floor. But with all the smoke and a fire burning around me, it was a little disorienting.
Absolutely.
But I was able to kind of shuffle my way along the floor back to the back bedroom and pounded a few times and kind of gave it one good thud. And with that, they opened the door, and the mother, the grandmother, the infant, and the dog were all in the room, and the grandmother was about to pass out. She said if wouldn't have gotten in a little bit later, it would have been a different story. Took the young mother out first, the 23-year-old girl, Tessa, and kind of grabbed her and threw my arm around her and guided her along the floor out to the ladder, and got her on the ladder, kind of crawled along back through the back bedroom again, and got little baby Emma out, 11-month-old, and ran back through the floor trying to cover her up as much as I could, and got her to Tessa. And that was a pretty big challenge, to give her the kid and try to help her climb down the ladder.
She was still at the top of the ladder at that point.
Yeah, this is an extended ladder, 20 feet up in the air. And I kind of told her, look, you're climbing down this ladder right now, and this is how we're gonna do it. And I climbed back up inside and ran back in and grabbed her grandmother and brought the grandmother out, at which point I was just about ready to pass out. A lot of smoke and just sense of delusion.
I do remember when I got you on the phone at the end of it to make sure everybody was out. You were coughing pretty hard, and
yep.
you could definitely tell you took in some smoke at that point.
And at that point, I had all three humans out of the house, and they were screaming about the dog, and I went back in one more time for the dog, yep. And the dog was kind of a little bit to wrangle and snapping at me, and I got the dog by the harness and carried the dog out, at which point I was like, all right, this is it. I was able to get out and kind of looked around, and I was like, holy smokes, this actually just happened. Yeah. And then the fire company showed up and I think it would have been too late if
And that's what
nobody
I told
would've
your
gone
dad,
out.
because I think at one point he said, no, the fire department's going to be there before I can do anything. I said, unfortunately, you don't know that. I need you to try to do something, because if not, these people could not end up well. I need you to get a ladder over there at this point. At least try until they get there. If you take the ladder for no reason, you take it for no reason. At least we got to try. And
Yeah.
hearing there was a baby inside, I mean, I have 3 children at home. I think any parent or anybody, when you hear there's a kid involved, it kind of heightens you a bit. It kind of brings things to a new level.
It seriously was the best teamwork that I've ever seen in my whole life, to be honest.
And it was 100% a team effort between you and your father and everybody in our room at the same time to get those people out, just, based on what we were hearing and seeing from what we were being told from your father. I definitely think that was one of the, and probably will always be, one of the most life-changing and humbling calls I will ever have and ever have taken. And with me, it's okay being a call I never have to take again. It's one of those 1 in a million calls that you don't want to have to take again, but you're glad the outcome came the way it did. But the outcome was the way it was because of you. You being there 110% is the reason that family's alive today. 100%. And you should be very humble about that. You are the reason that family is alive today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.